Well, it's been a while, hasn't it? Hello everyone, and welcome back to Eltriancraft Season 4. It really has been a while since I've last done a video. I kind of took a mental break. But do not worry, I actually did quite a lot together with Ren, working on a base on mega builds. We've mostly worked a bit on the terraforming, the landscaping, mountains, more mountains, and some of the houses as well. I did record most of this, but kind of boring. Anyway, let's take a look at that real quickly. So yeah, I did record most of all of this. I did want to make a video about it, but there were a lot of things happening in real life, and also I am using a new computer, which is kind of scuffed. I have to be honest. But now we're back, and now we can actually start working on some new things. And in this episode, I want to start working on one of my favorite parts of the season. Fly, 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 hurry up. Because if you do not know yet, which you probably already should, I am at the moment working on the netherhub. I am the one who's organizing the entire project. It's going pretty well, I have to say so, but there are still a lot of things that need to be done. And in this episode, I want to work on that. So let's head into the nether. So as you might remember from the last time, in the netherhub, we just had dug out a square and we started breaking some of the bedrock. Well, I can tell you, I've done a lot more. This tunnel, for instance, is one of the things that I've done. And the other thing is this gorgeous room over here. Well, it will be gorgeous. It will be gorgeous. Right now, I have just this void floor, which did take a long time to make. And we've dug out all the bedrock, which also kind of took a while. And we have this beautiful... we also have this beautiful gradient in the wall, which I absolutely love. But everything else is just kind of boring, you know. So, in this episode, I want to start working a bit on the roof of this netherhub, the walls, and mostly actually the tunnels towards people's bases. My idea for each tunnel is actually pretty interesting. I am really into different kind of artistical cultures, well, not cultures, art movements. And each tunnel, I would like to have one of those themes represented by one of those different art forms. For example, in this direction, we can go a bit of the Baroque building art style. And in this one, we can go a bit more into Romanticism. We can go into Gothic in this area. And we can also use Renaissance stuff in this area. It's kind of like the same idea that Gem did, but then in Hermitcraft. But then instead of using colors to distinguish, we are using art forms. Oh, no, 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 no! Well, how dare you? Oh! That scared me! That was a literal jump scare. Ooh, give me that. So let's get started working. Okay, look at what a difference these tunnels now make. Me and Paulie and Birdie have been... Okay, look at the difference these tunnels now make. This one is not that far away. Luckily, they only brought us over here. Massive thanks to Paulie and Birdie for helping me mine out all these tunnels. And now we can actually start working a bit on decorating these tunnels. As I mentioned before, I want each tunnel to have its own theme. In kind of like the art movement style thingies. So one will be Renaissance, one will be Rococo, one will be Baroque, and it's a different one. But it's going to be really awesome, and I already have kind of like a design laid out for all of them. So all we need to do is kind of like think about how we're going to realize it into Minecraft. Swoosh! And we are now the build server people. I do not know if you know this, but during this video I talked a bit about the tunnels. Maybe like 5 or 6 times in this one video already. And during those parts I talked about that I would be using 4 different art movements to inspire these tunnels by. Well, for the last few days I've been working on the creative world on these tunnels. Time for a little art lesson, people. The 4 movements that I will be using are as followed. We got the Renaissance right over here, we got the Baroque, the Rococo and the Neoclassicism. All very interesting art movements, and I will show you exactly how these inspired my tunnels. First I want to take a quick look at Neoclassicism, because mostly this is one of the least interesting ones. I mean, do not get me wrong, it is still a very interesting way of architecture. However, out of the 4 of them, this one is the least interesting. So to understand this tunnel, we first have to understand neoclassical architecture by itself. This art movement took over Europe and America in the 1700s and 1800s, after centuries of a quite messy art movement, the Baroque, which we will talk about in just a second. So after centuries of quite a messy and chaotic design era, the Baroque, architects wanted a more of a reset. So they looked more at the mathematical perfection from the ancient Greece and ancient Rome. So instead of piling gold and random curves, Neoclassicism is defined by absolute symmetry and grand monumental skill and pillars, structural pillars, and massive flat surfaces. That's why these walls are quite flat, and the floor is flat, quite flat, and that's why I added this line in the middle. In the neoclassical area, they also use quite a lot of inspiration from Pompeii. You know, that city that was turned to ash by a volcano, Vesuvius. During this art movement, they used a lot of brown colors, terracotta, and I tried to imitate that with the granite on the floor. And for inspiration, I looked no further than the Grand Institutional Galleries in Buckingham Palace, which kind of look the same. Well, not really. I mean, these are blocks. But I did take a lot of inspiration from that location and trying to do my best to kind of reconstruct that in Minecraft. Okay, time for a new tunnel. This is kind of the opposite of the Neoclassicism style, which is the Rococo style. This style emerged in the early 1700s and is quite the opposite of Neoclassicism, especially because it's mostly focused on asymmetry. While Neoclassicism was mostly models for after public temples or public use, Rococo was mostly designed for the private and ultra-wealthy elite people. Rococo spaces are mostly an explosion of gilding, especially with gold leaf and gold, a lot of gold, pastel colors as well, and also a lot of organic stuff, mostly leaf and plant motifs. And let's also not forget the elaborate art on the walls. I tried to imitate the gilding around like the structures by using the raw gold ore in the top of the room, and also using some bamboo, which is the closest to gold trim we can have in Minecraft. And for the plant motifs, I mostly just used some pill oak inside of the shelves around the pillars. I added some light blue terracotta, some blue banners, and of course some light blue and some white glazed terracotta in the roof, all to give this really elaborate and kind of rich people feel. The only thing that I didn't really do is the asymmetry, and I think I will do that by just changing the pathing a bit, by making it a bit swirly. That's the only thing I can actually think of. Maybe some decorations on the side that is not on the other side. Maybe even armor statues. I mean, I can do that. As inspiration, I used the Great Gallery in Vienna, Austria, to kind of have a feel of what it should look like. Okay, it's time for the third tunnel, and this one is built in the Grand Baroque style. This style emerged in Rome during the 1600s, and Baroque architecture was all about high drama and power, while the later Rococo style was soft and playful with the pastels and such. Baroque was heavy, intense, and serious. I mean, look at me. Look how serious I am. Serious, Bruce. This was mostly designed by the church and also royalty to completely overwhelm you. Baroque mostly rejects flat surfaces and favors of heavy, chiseled, and undulating stone. And also a massive contrast between blinding light and deep shadows. So as I just said, Baroque is like really about creating drama with lighting, which in Minecraft is quite difficult to do, believe it or not. I did try to hide some light in specific areas, mostly to show like the armor statues, but yeah, I did my best. I just used some darker colors near the edges, and I used diorite for the columns because they kind of feel like a bit more dark. They're a bit darker than quartz, so I think I did something good with that. And also I tried to use a lot of detailing with fences and once again the bamboo around it. One small thing I forgot to say about the Baroque, they also really love to use gold in this art movement. That is why once again I used a lot of raw gold, and also I added some gold in the in the shelves as well. However, unlike in the Rococo area, Baroque did not really like to cover like everything with gold, so there was a lot of strategic placement of gold, mostly around like the edges, and also, for example, over here at the columns around those edges as well. And finally, we are stepping into our fourth tunnel, built in the historical Renaissance style. This style originated in Florence, Italy during the 1400s. The Renaissance is kind of the grand rebirth of classical knowledge from the ancient world. After like centuries of building sharp, pointy Gothic castles, which in my opinion I absolutely love as well, architects wanted to return to the harmony of ancient Rome. However, unlike in the strict classical style that we looked at way earlier, Renaissance architects didn't just copy ancient temples. Instead, they invented a blend, taking Roman arches and columns like I've done up here, yes, and carefully weaving them into contemporary layouts, using strict mathematical geometry, order, and human scale proportions as well. As you can see, that it's all quite human scale proportions. Yeah, totally not bigger than me at all. As inspiration for this tunnel, I used Lodge di Ravello. I'm so sorry for my pronunciation. I am not Italian, so sorry if I said it wrong. But last time I went to Italy, I was in that area, and I actually looked at how they used the different columns and the way that they build it, and I kind of tried to use that inspiration to make this tunnel. Also, I totally forgot to mention, but for the Baroque era, I used the Hall of Mirrors in Versailles as kind of the inspiration for this tunnel. So yeah, those were the 4 tunnels that I made for the netherhub. I'm so sorry for like the long explanation, but this is kind of the first time in years that I could use any knowledge that I got from high school in something. I might not know how to use math, but at least I know how to use art history in tunnels. Anyway, back to main server. And we are back on the main server, everyone. Back. I do apologize for nerding out like that regarding art history. It genuinely is one of the first times in years since I've been able to use any of that information on anything for the matter. And it's so great to finally use that knowledge to work on something I love. You know, like Minecraft. Anyway, tunnels are ready, so now it is time to start building them. However, before I start doing that, I need quite a lot of materials, which include quartz. In Minecraft, there are 3 different ways to get quartz, and in Minecraft there are 3 different ways to get quartz, and I'm quite interested to see which one is actually the fastest of the 3. You have the standard mining in the nether, you got the bartering farm one, and you also have trading with villagers. So how about we do a little experiment? I'm going to spend 30 minutes each on each method to see which one will create the most revenue, or the most quartz. Oh. Prepare for invasion. Oh, just one of you. Prepare for invasion. Prepare. What? What? Oh, what? Hold up. Wait. No. Wait. What? Prepare for the toast. Oh no. Okay, we must not get distracted right now. We have to do the experiment first. So for this experiment, I started half an hour in our gold/bartering farm to see how many quartz we could get in that half an hour. Afterwards, I went into the nether and did a bit of mining of the quartz to see how much I would get over there. And afterwards, I went back to our base for half an hour and traded with all of our mason villagers that conveniently all had some quartz that they wanted to trade with me. Okay, so that was a little interesting experiment. Here are the results that I got. This one is for the blocks that I mined in the nether. This is for the village trading, and this one is for the bartering farm. Let me know in the comments which one you think would win. So anyway, the results are quite shocking. Well, not really shocking, but kind of shocking. I thought for sure the bartering farm would be one of the fastest ways, and otherwise the villagers would be the fastest way. But I was kind of wrong. In that half an hour, the villager trading only made 2 stacks of blocks and 16, which normally would maybe seem like quite a lot, but on this server we have a data pack which makes crafting quartz a bit cheaper. So this would only be 2 stacks and 16 normal quartz. For the bartering farm, we only got 4 stacks and 18 nether quartz, which is by far... That is bad. That is like really bad. And the one that actually took the lead, it was the nether, just mining all of the quartz. Even though it is quite tedious and you have to find unloaded chunks or new chunks that people haven't mined quartz in, it was the one that made the most profit regarding quartz. Overall, quite an interesting experiment. And now we actually have quite a lot of quartz that we can use for the nether hub. Of course, this will be by far not enough. So I went back into the nether and actually did mine a bit more. There was some more. Ah, wait, here it is. And no, not that one. So yeah, I did mine some more. So hopefully this will be enough for now, so we can actually do some building. Okay, so I did some work on the tunnels at least. I mean, the first tunnel is actually, it is done because there's nothing over in this direction. Look at it! The first tunnel is done, and at the moment I'm working on the second tunnel, which is the Renaissance tunnel. In this direction, I've already placed some bottom parts of the pillars and a few of those, but I kind of ran out of the pale oak. So I'm gonna need to collect some later on, but I think this is as much time as I have for this video. So I want to thank all of you so much for watching, and I'll see all of you next time. Bye!